What's up, everyone? This is Phil Lysecki with Wild Phil's Osphy. You heard that right. Wild Phil is out for the day. Rest in peace to the wild. Let's raise our Russian soda kvass and pour it out for the Wild Phil. Rest in peace. That's right. I'm dropping the wild in my name. I figure I have to make a video about it. You know, why not? Why not? Because everybody who told me for the past 2 years is like, I wonder if he's gonna mention me. No, I'm not. But yeah, a lot of people have told me to do it, and I'm gonna go over in this video as a comedian for anybody starting out why you shouldn't have a nickname, why it's fucking stupid, why you should drop it, the reason why I had it, and then in the end, I'm gonna give you some a taste of some 4 Wild Phil stories, exclusive. So stick by, because you're in for a treat. Because I figure, shit, if I'm going to drop the wild, may as well go out in a fucking bang. Because I'm going to share some wild fucking stories. I'm going to share the 4 probably wildest stories that have ever happened to me. But before we get to that, let's talk about why the fuck did I even have Wild Phil in my name? Well, first of all, absolute first. So I am almost in next. It's October. It's Halloween now. Next March is going to be my 2 years in comedy. I've never been committed to anything this much. So, you know why? Like, so how did it start? The reason why I'm saying I've only been like almost 2 years in comedy is because I've been podcasting for almost a decade, and about 4 or 5 years ago, I chose Wild Phil's Osophy as the podcast name. Before I even did any comedy, I was like, what is a good name for a podcast with Phil in it? You know, get your Phil, feeling good, you know, like, and so I settled on Wild Phil's Osophy because my podcast is about, you know, I interview people from the local area. I talk about music. I talk about mental health. I talk about Taoism. And so it was along with comedy. So I was like, that sounds like a cool fucking name. So that's one of the reasons why I had it. You know, I just went by whatever my podcast and YouTube name was. The other reason why is it was really hard to pronounce. Phil Lysecki, like, I say Lysecki because that's the American pronunciation. The real pronunciation is Lysecki. Lysecki. So like Bruce Lee's key that he uses for the bathroom when he has diarrhea. That's how I tell people to pronounce it. But I say Lysecki because we're Americans, and that's how Americans pronounce it. That's how my football coach used to scream at me when he had a mouthful of tobacco, and his tobacco juice would go in my eyes. Yeah, I remember it a little bit too much in detail. But anyways, so yeah, another reason why I had it was because I figured people, and it's not like I figured. I went to Mike's putting my real name down, and people are like, yeah, Phil, whatever the fuck, Phil, you're up next. You know, they didn't give a fuck. They didn't want to pronounce it. I'm just like, shit, fuck that, you know? The other thing, too, is I just had so why did I settle on Wild? First of all, Wild Phil kind of rolls off the tongue. Wild Phil. It's got 4 letters in each, so you could tattoo it on your knuckles later on. I really thought this through, all right? And I thought it was fucking cool, you know? It's almost like Kyle Allen. But, you know, I just thought it was short and rolled off the tongue, you know? So the other thing is I'm just filled with wild fucking stories. I've had people tell me, they're like, I can't even believe that shit is true. I can't. Well, I lived a rags to riches life. I used to be really fucking poor, and I'm not rich, but I'm really pretty comfortable I'm a kind of the 1% of the middle class that still exists. And I'm really happy with it. So, when you live a life that's like that, there's going to be a shit ton of bumps in the road. I mean, your journey is going to be a saga. You're going to go through a lot of phases in life to just leaving from one class to the other, let alone, you know, having a happy life in it. So And like I said, I always tell people, hook me up to a fucking lie detector if you don't believe this shit happened to me, because I can't believe this shit happened to me, but it did. So, and that's why I'm going to share the 4 wildest stories. But, so that's the reason why I had Wild Phil. And the last reason, this is the reason, it's pretty fucking vulnerable to me, all right? And I don't give a fuck about sharing it. Phil Lysecki, to me, was everything that everybody said around me. You know, living in a home where your parents didn't give a fuck about you, getting kidnapped, being a dumb Polak who doesn't speak English, who's fat, who fucks up all the time. I still have people walk up and they go, Phil Lysecki, how are you not, like, addicted to drugs or in jail or dead? And I'm like, yet, because I am a motherfucking outstrider. Everybody told me all that shit, that you're going to end up in jail or on drugs or dead because of the trauma that you went through. Well, guess what, sucker? I made it. I haven't made it yet, but I'm pretty humble, and I'm still working on being a good-ass comedian. And so that's why I kind of made by Wild Phil, because to me, when people said Phil Lysecki, it was like I felt like me being judged by my past. But there's a new chapter in my life. I'm not that Phil Lysecki anymore. This is successful, made it through Phil Lysecki. And you got to be proud of your name. And so that's where I'm going to segue into why I dropped the Wild. So those are all the reasons that I had Wild in it, you know? And I thought, and the other thing is, I just went through a horrible denial because I did hear of people with nicknames that I also thought were fucking really stupid. But I was like, as long as you have your name in it, you know, like Wild Phil, or like, I know people are going to compare me to him, Big J, right? You still have your name in it. If you have a completely fucking Daddy Longlegs Dan, no. If you don't have the Dan, if you just have Daddy Longlegs, then yeah, it's fucking Goofy or fucking Cherry Pop. It sounds fucking ridiculous because you don't even have your name in it. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's just goofy to me. So I just went by, at least I have my name in it. And one of the last straws that made me change it, one of the biggest things that, it's funny because I had it happened gradually. You just have to flow with the current, man. Wu wei. And what I mean by that is, first was the criticism from my fellow colleague comedians. I had so many people, Tom Feeback, Kyle Allen was the first. I think maybe even Chris Bonga tell me, they're like, bro, why do you have Wild in it, man? Why? Drop the Wild Phil. Drop the fucking let's get wild. That's a WWF wrestler. What are you doing, dude? Drop it. And I didn't want to do it because I was building this brand. I had this podcast. I had this YouTube channel. I was like, this is. They keep saying that it's not me. I keep saying that it is me. So, I finally got to the point where I was like, it happened in order. So first it was the colleagues telling me to do it and me being a stubborn Polak and not listening. Then I went to a mic and there was this guy. I don't want to shit on him because I don't know if I'm going to see him at another mic, but his name was like, he had some kind of name like, you know how like rappers have like YBN Namir or YBN Corday or YB LGBTQN5S34, they have these fucking names that it sounds like Elon Musk named them. This guy came up and he goes, yo, what's up? I'm Savage Bubble Guts. And I'm just like, dude, that's how goofy I look. Oh my God. And then literally the very next day is when I had a podcast with Ruben Ramirez, who used to go by Baby Horchata. And I told him, I go, dude, everyone's been telling me, drop the fucking name because Ken Flores used to be too skinny. Ruben Ramirez used to be Baby Horchata, and they dropped it. And bro, do you know where they are? Let's have a moment of grace for Ken Flores. Because if you don't know who Ken Flores is, bro, Ken Flores is the Fluffy of Chicago. That's who he is. He fucking went from the bottom to the top. Started from the bottom. Now he's here. He just opened up to a sold-out show for Gabriel Iglesias. Gabriel Iglesias, he's like, yo, this motherfucker, he's from Chicago. Support this guy. He's from your home. And he started bawling on stage. It put a fucking lump in my throat. Because that guy, you see him at open mics with 6 people in the audience. And now he's at the United Center opening up for Gabriel. Do you know United Center, 20 capacity, 23,500 people. That is 4 fucking hick towns. That's the population of 4 hick towns. Are you shitting me? That's the population of Niles. And that's who he's opening up for. And he used to go by Too Skinny, and now he's fucking Ken Flo because he's proud of his name. Same thing with Ruben Ramirez. And I told Ruben is like, Phil, what's your real name? I go, Phil Iseki. He goes, that's beautiful. That is fucking beautiful. And I'm still in denial. I'm like, yeah, but no one's gonna be able to pronounce it. But he's like, no, motherfucker, make them learn to pronounce it. Be that fucking gold that they pronounce it. That should put a fucking lump in my throat. Because that made me realize, what am I doing? I'm all about this Taoism and Wu Wei and Yin Yang, about being in the present. Phil Iseki ain't Phil Iseki from the past. Phil Iseki's right here. A funny-ass fucking comedian who's got his own podcast, who's wedged his way into the Chicago comedy scene. I run a show. I run a podcast. Most people know who I am. I'm still only a year and 3/4 in, but I'm making a name for myself, and people are liking me along the way. That feels great. That feels fucking great. And so let's talk about why I dropped it. Yeah. You know, Ruben was telling me this, and then luckily because I've kind of, been so involved in the scene, I've had a bunch of friends who are bookers. So the number one so let's go over why I dropped it. Number one was it's douchey. It's douchey to have a fucking call me savage bubble guts, wild face, motherfucker, cock blowing maggot. What, bro? What are you like? It's so you know how like I and that's the thing is I have these friends who are producers who are professional fucking bookers. And I'm not even talking about comedians. I'm talking about people who run clubs, the Comedy Vault. Imagine running a place. You're looking for the best, the funniest, whatever, and you see email pops up, somebody you don't know, and it usually says booking and then the person's name. So say it says booking Ken Flores, and now you see booking Savage Bubble Cuts Wild Phil Too Skinny Baby Horchata. Who the fuck is this? A failed SoundCloud rapper? Is this a WWF wrestler? What the fuck? Fuck this guy. Who does this fucking guy think? Is this a drag variety show? So it's not good for bookers. The other thing was, at open mics, it's just everybody expected you to be wild. And that kind of segues me into number 2 reason why I did it was because it's just like, I'd go on stage and I would I would have people. So here's another reason why I had it was because a lot of my material is vulgar. It is fucked up, but that's it. I swear to God, I'm not doing it to be shocking. What I'm doing is I had these fucked up things happen to me in my life, and now I'm finding ways to laugh at them. That's what I'm doing. I'm not here to shock anybody. I'm here to literally just tell my story in a half glass full way, if the glass is crystal meth. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not doing this I'm not the fucking Marilyn Manson trying to just be a shock rocker, okay? I'm just telling serious, real fucking stories. So, but what happened is, because I was telling these vulgar things, there were places that you want to do clean stuff. And even as a comedian, I want to do not every fucking thing has to be about a coyote skull fucking you with a red ass dick. I don't know where I thought of that. But anyways, it doesn't have to always be that. And so, but here's what would happen is with a name like Wild, I'd go up there and I'd talk about problems I have being a stepdad. And they're just like, what the fuck is so wild about that? Shouldn't you end it with butt chugging beer or shoving a fucking toy car up your ass? What the fuck was so wild about that? So I had the pressure of constantly, and I didn't realize it until I stopped doing the wild. I didn't realize it, that like every time I went up, and you know what was it's, here's what I'm really fucking proud of. Really proud of. You progress when you look at your old material and you cringe, because that means you're a better comedian. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, it's for anything. If you're a mechanic or if you build motorcycles and you look at the stuff you used to do, like if you have a video of like you working on your first motorcycle, or you have a video of you painting your first painting, and to who you are today, you're like, oh, fucking burn this. Get this out of here, you know? And what made me cringe is I literally had, here's what's funny, I had an entire set just explaining what the word wild means. An entire set on my name. That's, first of all, that's fucking narcissistic. That already seems douchey to me. Second of all, I remember I did a mic, and I forgot where it was, but it was at a big I think it might have been at Comedy Cabin in Janesville, Wisconsin. And I thought that we get 5 minutes, but we only got 3. And I went up there and I did good. And like I got a good reaction. But when I got off stage, somebody went up to me and was like, dude, you did pretty well, but if I were you, man, like I'd change it up. I'm like, what do you mean? Like if it was good laughs. What do you mean by that? He goes, the entire set was about the name Wild Phil. That's kind of fucking stupid. Like, if anything, people are kind of laughing because it's like you're talking so much about your name. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So rip that fucking sheet out and throw it out of nowhere. Anyways, so yeah, I had that. That's first reason was the douchiness, the how you look to bookers. Second reason was the pressure to do constantly wild jokes, you know. Not be able to, and the third reason, the biggest reason, is to being true to yourself, having a true voice. Who the fuck, people want to know who, it doesn't, see, here's another thing, I think Tom might have told me this. He goes up to me, he goes, it doesn't matter if it's Wild Phil or if it's Phil Isecki. We want to fucking know who Wild Phil or Phil Isecki are. That's who you need to be. That's what you got to go into. That's what you got to dip into. And that's the new chapter in this comedy journey that I'm on, is dipping into who is Phil Isecki, you know? And you could tell, people have told me you could tell when I go on stage. See, here's what's funny is I say this because I have a friend who's a really faggoty, like, overconfident nerd. He thinks he's hot shit. He was thinking about taking steroids. He's a firefighter, you know? And what does this have to do with what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, it's funny because when people say, try and fake being confident, try and be confident, you know? You can't be confident. You just are confident. You know what I mean? I mean, you can fake it till you make it. But it's just funny to me because I'd be around him and he'd try to do all these like manly fucking things. I can't explain it. He just and I'm like, dude, I'm not even one of those dudes that's like, you got to be a man. You know, I'm not even one of those. Why are you doing this? You know, like if you're, you know what I mean? If you're taking an Andrew Tate course to be a confident man, clearly you're presently not confident or a man. You're doing something to, you know what I mean? So it was like, what I found funny when people told me, they told me when you go on stage, I could tell when you're being yourself because you're truly being confident. Meaning you're literally being yourself. You're being the person that's with us after a fucking mic at the bar, rather than, all right, let's get wild, you know? And so and those jokes are actually funnier too because people can see who I am, you know. So, yeah, the true voice of Phil Lysecki. So we're dropping the wild now. And yeah, I guess the last thing I can say is, like I said, it put a lump in my throat. It put a lump in my. This is the thing I wanted to say. I guess I already said it. Kind of is just when I had Ruben Ramirez on, and he told me, he goes, "What's your real fucking name?" Phil Lysecki. He goes, "Phil what?" I go, "Phil Lysecki." Lysecki. Took him one try. And then I go arguing like, man, people aren't going to be able to pronounce it. He goes, be that fucking golden, be that good, and be that fucking yourself that you teach them how to fucking pronounce it. You go, you don't want to pronounce my name? Go fuck yourself. You ain't part of this thing. Teach them. You know why? And I go, why? He goes, because Phil Lysecki is beautiful. And that shit fucking hit me, man. That shit, because I never heard anybody say that shit. I never heard anyone say that to me. I've never, you know what? It's like when I got out of hypnosis therapy, I was crying from how happy I was. And he goes, you want to know why? I go, why? He goes, because you never knew what happiness was. You grew up in constant panic, fear, anxiety. You didn't the innocent happiness you're supposed to feel as a child. You didn't fucking feel that until you're in your 30s. And so that felt great. All right, enough of the gay shit. You know what I mean? All right, so I'm going to end this off with my top 4. I was trying to come up with top 5, but top 4 wildest fucking stories, all right? Starting from, I don't know, man. I guess I'll start with the most mild instead of the most wild. All right, I'm going to start with the most mild and go to the most wild. Number 1. Well, I'm not going to, whatever. Not gonna, fuck the numbers. The first one I'm going to talk about is the most mild, is the closer to mild, which is Cora Eden, Silent Hill. I'm actually writing a bit about this, okay? What happened is, I had this, so there's a few characters in this. There's my buddy John's family, and then there's John, who was my best friend of 25 years, but he's a fucking piece of shit, so I cut him off. You know, he was one of those friends where you're friends like for 15 years, and then from then on, you're like, why am I friends with this person? It's been 15 years. And then 5 years later, why am I friends with this person? It's been 20 years. So he's one of those people. But this particular story, I was in 6th grade. I actually had to look up this info because to fact check my story, because we're talking about Silent Hill, and that came out, I think it was 96 or 99. I think it was 99. It was 99 because that was when I was in 6th grade. If it was 96, this story would be more fucked up because then I'd be, in like 3rd grade. But all right, so here's what happened. There's a shit called Cora Eden. Triple C's. Look it up. Cor, it's spelled Corcidin. Okay? And the thing was, at that time, 3 6 Mafia popped off, Lil Wayne popped off, and I started hearing about all this sipping on some scissor. I started hearing about all this cough medicine shit, getting you high. And I'm a little kid. I don't know shit about drugs. Internet is just coming out. So I just assumed any cough medicine that exists, just do a ton of it. I didn't realize that these rappers were talking about codeine, and I'm pretty sure just specifically codeine. And so us being young kids, I mean, we were chugging NyQuil, we were chugging Dayquil, day tripping, And then we came across this Corcidin shit, which is, it comes in pills in like those silver pop tab things. They look like, like when you get like laxative pills, or when you get like Metamucil in pill form, And what happened is, my friend John, he goes, listen, man, my friend said that you get fucked up off this shit. You're supposed to take 2 if you have a cough. But my friend said he took 8. So John goes, so if he took 8, I'm going to take 16. And me and John were always competitive. So I'm like, well, I'm going to take 32. I took the whole damn box. I took the whole box. And long story short, what I didn't realize was this. So here's the thing. Codeine is its own thing, right? Then when you talk about cough medicine, people steal Sudafed to make crystal meth. This whole time, up until now, I'm 36 right now. This whole time I thought I was doing meth in 6th grade. Turns out what I was doing, Coricidin, is actually called poor man's PCP. Yes, it is the closest to the makeup of PCP. So I did PCP in 6th grade. So here's what happened. John's dad goes, this is around like November or something. Silent Hill just came out on PS1, and I used to sleep over at my buddy John's house every weekend. He was literally the only steady friend I've ever had in my life. And so, other than like my goldfish. So I came over there as usual. He lived in Arlington Heights in these condos called Windsor condos or some shit. And I come over there, and it was one of those nights. We didn't know it at the time, but it ended up being one of those nights where it was like 20 degrees outside. And then as soon as his dad left, it blizzarded. So I'm over there. I think I came over there on, Friday. His dad goes, hey, we're going to this family party. We'll be back late. Behave yourselves, So he leaves. Bro, we get snowed in I would say at least 5 feet because you could only see the tops of sedan cars, So we got the whole fucking house to ourselves up until Monday because that's when the snowplows are coming out. They're not doing shit on the weekends. So my buddy's like, we're doing this Coricidin, and we're playing the scariest fucking game ever. We're playing Silent Hill. For those of you who don't know what Silent Hill is, it's kind of like Resident Evil, but more psychological. It honestly reminds me, to compare it to something that's modern, it reminds me of that movie Smile. It's that kind of, or even that Talk to Me. It's that kind of psychological shit. The game's about this guy. He's a single dad. He's driving with his daughter in a Jeep Wrangler. He gets to this town called Silent Hill. A lot of silence, not too many hills. Gotta tell you. And his daughter runs out of the car. She disappears in this fog. So he goes in this town. Town's fucking abandoned. He can't get back to his car. And there's all these freaky things. There's German shepherds that are skinned, and you got to hit them with a pipe. So what I'm saying is it's the perfect recipe to do PCP in 6th grade too, because, bro, we did these pills, and we were up all 3 days. We played it all the way through. His PlayStation, you could cook a fucking scrambled egg on it. It was so hot because we did not turn it off. PlayStation, you can't we didn't want to. I mean, we couldn't sleep. You could save, but we didn't want to. So we just stayed up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, just because we didn't even have school Monday. So we just played it all the way through, high as fuck on this Coricidin. And the way I would describe it, for some people who are wondering, you just got really paranoid, and there was a lot of a little bit of visual hallucinations, a lot of audio hallucinations. And it didn't help. By the way, I should mention this. The entire game, it's flurrying. There's snow falling down, and there's silence. And you look outside, and it's blizzarding. So it was freaking me out. I was like, I'm in this fucking game. And then the next thing, and then here's the funny thing. The next time we did that Coricidin, we played Max Payne, which is the same shit. You're in a cold ass icy New York with snow, and you're hearing fucking babies cry. So yeah, that's one of the wildest things, because it was, I basically did PCP in 6th grade. That'll be stamped into the Wild Phil Book of Wild Stories. Yeah, and the joke that I tell is and this isn't, I mean, it's half joke, but it's really true, is when people tell me, yo man, you want to it's so much fun to play old games that you had as a kid, GoldenEye, Super Mario, fucking, Donkey Kong. What about Silent Hill? I don't ever want to play Silent Hill because It's never going to be as cool as when you're on a PCP in 6th grade. Okay. So moving on. next, moving on to the next a step level of wilder than doing PCP in 6th grade is I got shot at in the hood. Yeah, I got shot at in the hood. I hung out with a little bit of crazy group of people. Some of them were Latin Kings, some of them weren't. It was in this town called North Lake. It's right next to Stone Park. Stone Park is basically Trailer Park Boys with Latin Kings. It's literally a fucking trailer park of gangbangers. And I was hanging out there for a 4th of July. And I got high as hell, whatever. And what happened is we're chilling in this barbecue in this one guy's backyard. His name was a White Boy because he was the only white guy in that neighborhood other than me. And I mean, he was the only white guy that lived there. So we're having this barbecue, and he had a typical redneck fucking house, just a porch that's, if you step on the wrong plank, you'll fall through because the wood is rotting, and it looked like gummo, And he's got the out of ground pools that's been rotting for a decade. There's like some possum's dead body floating in there. So we're having a barbecue and eating, fucking Gene and Jude's and hot dogs in his backyard. And I'm chilling. I'm just getting high, and I'm chilling by the out of ground pool. And I look to my left. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I just see a guy go like this and pop off 3 rounds. And he shot right at us. He shot right at us and then just took off. It was to be honest, it was pretty pussy because I don't know about you guys. I've shot off guns. Popping off 3 rounds, I mean, you might hit me once popping off the whole magazine. So it was a little bit scary. But the thing is, I was high as hell. So what happened next is we call 911, and this is a shitty neighborhood. So the cops, they didn't come for like an hour. They did not come for like an hour. And the nearest police station I could have ran to. It was literally 50 yards. I don't know why it took them an hour to come. So yeah. So it took them an hour to come. And in that hour, I'm so high that I got the munchies. I ordered Subway. And I ordered Jimmy John's, and I get this, my favorite Jimmy John's, bro, Vino. I think it's Vino or the Vito, the fucking Italian sub with that gabagool and the salami and that olive oil and the vinegar. The purple onion. And I'm high as fucking got the munchies. So I'm like about to eat the sandwich. Cops pull up, 3 fucking squads in the driveway, tell everybody to get on the ground, and then they cuff everyone. There's like 20 people at this party, so there's just a lineup of 20 people. They ran out of handcuffs. They were zip tying people. And I'm just like, bro, I'm fucking wild. I'm Phil Isecki, but there's still a little wild in me. I'm not joking. My record now is I've gotten out of 7 police tickets by crying on command. Because there was a moment where I did want to be an actor, so and somebody told me, they go, 2 things you can do to be a good actor is to not laugh when things seem funny, have a straight face, and to cry on command. So I just got into a crying thing. Yeah, I'm from the suburbs. Listen, my mom's gonna kill me. Can you please? I'm begging you, officer. I didn't even do any. I'm the one who got shot at, and I'm traumatized right now. So he cuffed me, and he goes, all right, I'll let you stand up and just go on the side. And I'm like almost crying from laughter that it worked. So as he's questioning all these other like hood rats, I basically was like a Napoleon Dynamite in a group of like Pedro's cousins, And so as he walks off to check the other ones, I'm like, I'm so fucking hungry, but I'm handcuffed. So I just start eating this fucking Vito sub off the cop's hood. Like somewhere out there's a dash cam of this motherfucker chomping down on this sub while handcuffed. It reminds me of one time I found a lost bulldog in my neighborhood, and I felt so bad for him. I took him in, and he was doing bad. He was farting like every 10 seconds. He had like some kind of worms, but I felt so bad. I didn't have any dog food, so I kept throwing him ham slices and gabagool slices, and he's just scraping his teeth off the tile in my kitchen. That's how I was on that hood because I had such munchies. So, anyways, that's that. And then nothing happened. They didn't find who the fuck shot at us. They uncuffed everybody, and we just kept partying and getting high. And I finished my sandwich. And the cop kind of yelled, but then he started laughing. So there's that. So that's let's go. So let's go one step more wild than that. Okay, we're at 35 minutes here. Thank you for sticking by. Next thing that happened to me, where I almost got killed by a gang of skinheads. Okay. This one's really fucking touchy because these people still exist, so I ain't gonna use any names. But what happened is I was in high school. I was into the whole. By the way, these skinheads that I was hanging out with, they were all sharps. They were all, skinheads against racial prejudice. They were all the UK scooter driving specials. They're all, dude. It's so cheesy at this point. It's they're LARPing at this point. They're it's all the same. You all listen to specials, madness, bad manners. You all fucking listen to, the good ages of Screwdriver, and then. I still listen to some of those bands. There's some good bands now. There's a new band these days. It's called Conservative Military Image. It's the new Oi. But anyways, so I was hanging out with these guys, and it wasn't even I wasn't hanging out with them. My friend was, and he goes, "Yo, man, we should go to this fucking party because we might be part of the gang." And to be honest, to us, I'm just being honest. We're just little insecure, faggoty teenagers who don't fit in. We're not jocks, but we're not nerds. But we want to show the jocks that we're tougher, so we're going to be in this Clockwork Orange fucking gang that just beats the shit out of random people, So so he's like, yeah, we should go to this party. And I went to this party. At the time, I had like hair down to like right underneath my nips. I had long ass fucking hair. So they immediately, like, I walk into this party, they're like, "Oh, Vikings here." They already gave me that was my gang name, was Viking, because I did not want to shave my head. So I'm chilling at this party, and I didn't know what the fuck to talk about, because I was like a hardcore metal guy. I was like, I don't want to fucking listen to ska. Look like I'm skipping around down the yellow brick road to fucking specials. I do that now. I love all that shit, but at the time I was like, fuck that. So I went up to this one guy. He had two hot skinhead girls around him, and I said, "Hey man, so all you guys just listen to is Oi and ska?" He's like, "The fuck are you? What are you talking about?" And I didn't want to start shit. So instead of being like, you should listen to something more manly, like fucking Slayer, or like Every Time I Die, or like Hatebreed, I didn't want to say that. So I was like, well, all you listen to is Oi and Sky. He's like, what the fuck you mean? I go, well, you don't have downtime like Smashing Pumpkins or, fucking, you don't listen to that shit on the side. And he looks at it. He looks at the girls and he goes, "Can you believe this faggot's at this party?" That's what he said. And I got so fucking mad. I felt like that he was almost testing me. I was like in this jail mindset. So I knocked him clean out. I just punched him immediately. And I was like, if I do this, they might respect me, because the only skinheads I know are shit that I seen in movies, because I was just a metalhead, Bro, they went after me. First he goes, so I punch him. One of his buddies goes, "What the fuck was that?" So I start running, clothesline his buddy, and it was on the second floor of a apartment. So it was a city apartment. So like the first floor was like some kind of store, and then on the top was the apartment. So this guy starts running up the stairs to try and get me. So I kick him in the face, like 300 style, into the hole. And then when I kicked him, I tripped and I ate shit down a whole flight of stairs, one flight. And then they ran down there and oh my God, they fucked me up. My 2 teeth cracked in half. I had 14 stitches above my whole eyebrow was like a fucking piece of bologna fluttering in the wind. Like I had to take the train all the way home. I was like, I really hope this scar doesn't heal because I'm gonna look like fucking Sloth from Goonies for the rest of my life. And yeah, so I got fucked up, and that story is so fucked up because the guy who took me to this party, the whole ride home, he's like, man, why did you start shit? Why did you start? Because technically, I guess I did escalate it. Who the fuck thinks to punch anybody in a gang, but it's still a wild story, So he actually like didn't even stand up for me. He was like he was so infatuated with trying to get into this gang that he didn't say a fucking word. We tried calling the cops. He don't want to say a damn thing. And to be honest, like I hit the guy first, so it's like, But if you want to know what happened, we have that SpongeBob on 10 years later, what happened is the guy who took me to the party, turns out he's kind of in the closet. So half the reason why he wanted to hang out with these skinheads is like, I love the suspenders and the tight the jeans. You bleach them. You're so muscular, but like with a touch of fabulous. So yeah, he ended up being in the closet. The guy that I punched in the face is now banned from Illinois because he actually went racist skinhead. He actually goes around the U.S. and recruits people. So that's why I said I'm glad that they didn't kill me. And then the first guy that kicked me in the face, like after I ate shit, he was the leader of the gang. And he's already been in prison for murder. So, there's your story. Yeah, what happened after? There is a few little tidbits I want to mention, though. The guy who was my friend, the in the closet skinhead, I actually, 10 years later, I ran into him on the subway. I was coming back from a concert, and I saw him on the train, just relaxing, just sitting back. And I remember when he didn't get my back. I mean, you know how much that do you know, like few people can even relate to what I'm saying. You got to be a fucking criminal to where you're in a situation where a group of criminals beat you senselessly, and this person who's supposed to be your friend doesn't get your back. You have no idea how enraged I was. So what did I do? I went up to him. I put my boot on his lap. Kind of like, how Captain Morgan leans on the front of the boat. I did that, and I leaned toward him. Then I popped out my butterfly knife, put it to his neck, and I go, so who the fuck is going to save your ass now, bitch? Your lawyer ass, because he had a Sicilian lawyer dad. I'm like, your fucking lawyer ass daddy ain't gonna get you out of it. What the fuck you gonna do now? And what's crazy is I almost got into some shit because the moment the doors opened in the subway, in the train, he took off. He fucking ran, like almost sobbing, and that's what like cut him a little bit. So it was, yeah. And I was like, oh shit, like that. It wasn't me, but yeah, that little bitch ran away, and he fucking deserves it. So, anyways, maybe I shouldn't share this stuff, but so here's the last and the wildest shit that has ever happened to me in my entire life. And I say wildest as in the most criminal. There's a lot more but actually, let's do this like YouTubers do. How about we have some honorable mentions, right? Honorable mentions: getting beat up by the cops while having a seizure. I have a video previously that you can watch if you want to hear that one. Running into mafia members and actually, like, you know, interacting with them. That is in another video as well that you can watch other than this one. And I also have a crazy COVID story that I had with a this lunatic. She is kind of like a QAnon type, Alex Jones type, and I almost got charged with manslaughter. So if you wanna watch that one, that's also just I think it's called My Crazy COVID Story. So check that one out. Now let's get to the number one crazy fucking story. I didn't even remember this. I remember this because I went to, so, you know, my mom died like, I don't even know, a year, two, I don't even fucking remember, to be honest. But we had to clean out all her stuff, and, you know, there's photo albums and stuff. And I want to set the context for the story, okay? I can't turn this into a bit, but it is a wild story. What happened is this. We have a photo of a car. It doesn't even look like a car. It just looks like fire across the screen. You know how you have filters on Instagram and it's just burning flames? That's what this picture looks like. It looks like that scene in Terminator 2 where everything's burning and Sarah's against the fence, you know? It looks like that. And we, like, my brother, he kind of, you know, he had a close relationship, so he looked through all the photos, and he asked me, he's like, what the fuck is this? What is this? And I saw that shit. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we kept that shit. Here's what happened, all right? Let me give you, like I said, some context so all of this makes sense. I don't know if you remember, but in the 90s, they had these disposable picture cameras, these Kodak cameras. Basically what that meant is if you didn't have like, my mom didn't want to buy me a real camera because you got to buy batteries, you got to maintain it, you got to clean it out, and a little kid's not going to fucking have that. So I had like have the responsibility to do that. So I would buy these packs of like 5 disposable Kodak cameras because about a mile and a half from my house there was a record store that's still around, but they fucking suck now. It's called Rolling Stones Records. It's all porn now. It's porn and incense and overpriced shirts. Somebody set that place on fire because it used to be amazing. It used to, every month there used to be a new band, and I used to have these cameras because I would meet them. I mean, 1 month, Typo Negative, Orgy. I myself have met Zakk Wylde there. Slipknot, Megadeth, Ozzy was there. I didn't meet him though because it was sold out. Who else did I meet there? Static X, Cold Chamber was there, Korn was there. So many fucking people. So, what happened is, I would have these cameras to get ready to meet them. So, and the thing is, so you know these disposable cameras, they had like 15 pictures. So 15 pictures, you could get a good shot with the band maybe in like 7 pictures. You really got to suck at taking pictures. So every time there would be 7 pictures left, and I would just kind of use it up so that we could get the pictures developed, you know? And so what happened is I had this Kodak camera, and so I'm sitting at home. It's a weekend. I had these neighbors across the alley. So where I lived, there was a huge forest preserve field in front of my house, literally like the size of a football field, and then it's just surrounded by road. So it was awesome because every time I played football, soccer, I think even baseball, they tried to do baseball practice there, but all the practices were fucking 15 feet, a stone's throw in front of my house. So all the parking, instead of people parking like down the road like they do in the city and then it's crammed, everybody would kind of park along the field. And my neighbor, he was a Bulgarian contractor, so he had like 3, contractor vans and then like his fucking whatever BMW souped up Honda. So I used to, as a kid, I don't know what it is, man. I used to love to break into places. And it's, bro, I'm going to be honest. It's barely breaking in. You're kind of just walking in to a property that's already open and just chilling by yourself. And there's something cool about that when you're a little kid. There were a few times where I rarely stole shit. I would say 1% of the time I stole shit. I would just go in. I had a friend of mine who had to go to dinner, and I just broke in his house because I wanted to chill in his closet. And this is kind of sad. I wanted to see how his family interacts because I didn't have a happy family. I was just like, they don't even know I'm fucking here, you know? So this guy had this contractor van, and I would just like, once in a while, I'd go in there, just pretend I'm driving it. I would smoke his cigarettes. He had like porn magazine. I would just fuck around in there. So one day in like 90s were the era of action movies, right? Fucking Terminator. Basically everything with Arnold, everything with Jean-Claude Van Damme, everything with Sylvester Stallone, everything with fucking Jackie Chan even, you know, like it was just awesome action movies. I don't even like it's you barely have any fucking action movies anymore, you know? John Wick, that's it. So I was like a little kid, bored on a weekend, and I'm like, I'm watching all these action movies. I'm like, man, I could hotwire a car. What the fuck? You see all these movies, all they do is they just tear down the wiring, take two wires, put them together, car starts. That's all you got to do, right? Just push the gas while you put two wires together, right? So I'm like, well, I'm bored. It's like 6 p.m. on a fucking Friday. I don't got shit to do. None of my friends want to hang out today. So I go in this guy's car, and in this, you know, work van, rapist van, right? I rip the entire from underneath the steering wheel out. I rip it all out. I even ripped. I like followed the wires so they went to like the radio. I ripped all that out, you know. And I'm sitting there. And I can't believe I didn't get electrocuted because I'm just like biting wires off, like trimming the wax off these wires, and I'm just like tying all of them together. I'm like, this isn't working. This isn't working. And by the end, I'm just sitting there, and there's this bird's nest. I mean, fucking barbed wire nest of ripped apart wires. I'm like, oh my God. I like fuck this guy's car up. And I'm still in like Wild Phil little detective mode. So I'm like, oh my God. You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna go to prison. Well, we better get rid of the evidence, you know? So I'm like, you know, and I'm still, this is what action movies taught me, you know, my babysitter. I'm like, well, none of the prints are going to be on the wires because I ripped them apart and my prints are too small. So I just got to get rid of the prints that I put all over the steering wheel, the dashboard, the radio, the seats. So what I did was I used to have this friend who in 6th grade, but believe it or not, he used to do this thing where, you know, when you get those free boxes of matches, he would only steal like one cigarette from his dad, but to light it, he would light a match, then light the entire box, and then light it with the box, like to try and act cool. So I remembered that. So I did that. I lit the entire like box of matches and just threw it on the passenger seat. And the passenger seat started smoking, and I'm thinking to myself, see, this is how fucking psycho this is. I'm sitting there, all this shit that I learned, it's so funny because this shit that I thought was real from movies, like how to hotwire a car and avoid fingerprints. Oh, I learned that. But then I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, they're just movies. There's no way this is just gonna burn up the entire front and then just go out, you know? Opposite, bro. Opposite. Because so what happened is, yeah, I'm like terrified because I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna throw this matchbox, leave, go home. And I already knew how to like cope with my anxiety. So I was like, I have to do whatever I can to distract my like anxiety. I get like play games, play guitar, do whatever I can so that I don't have to think about what just happened, that I may go to jail, you know? So I go, this happened at like 6 p.m. I go inside my house and I'm playing whatever the fuck I don't know, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on computer or Hitman Codename 47. 4 hours go by and my mom's like, "Oh my God, did you see what's outside?" And I was so distracted. I'm like, "No, what do you mean? What happened? What's going on?" I literally did forget. And I look outside. The entire van fucking exploded. The entire van set on, because I guess he had some flammable chemicals in the back area, and like work coats, work fucking coveralls. The entire van was on fire, and I wish one day. I don't know, man. I don't know. I might post the the picture, because I don't know how long you get in trouble for that. I don't even know if I should post this, but anyways, so that is the top wild story ever. So I have that picture, and I hope you enjoyed that. And the conclusion to this is what I'm going to say is, if you got a nickname in comedy, fucking drop it. No one's going to take you seriously. You ain't going to get booked. It doesn't, the amount of like the 2% cooler you feel doesn't make up for your shitty comedy act. Focus on your fucking jokes. Don't focus on your nickname, because that's what I'm going to do. Okay? See you later. Thank you for getting wild.